Okay, so now we're going to do some tutorials. We're going to specifically talk about, we already discussed state, we discussed that in SwiftUI. Now we're going to discuss at state, working with at binding. So let's do a quick review. At binding in SwiftUI is a property wrapper that allows a view to read and write a value owned by another view. It creates a two-way binding between the wrap property and the source of truth, which is usually a state object or at state object, or just at state, which we know those are two different things, right? At state object and at state are two different things, but we're just deal with at state for right now. And I'm going to give practical examples of a child view talking to a parent view. So what we're going to have is we're going to create an app, and we're going to call this our hotel app. We're going to start pretty much from scratch. All we're going to do is have an app that it presents a modal, right? And you get this, and this modal, you choose whether you have vacancies in your hotel or if you don't. Then when you dismiss it and you go back to your parent, the screen is modified. It either says no, no vacancies, or there are vacancies, right? And this is an example of string communication between the parent and the child. Of course, this is very simple, right? But these are the basics just so you can grasp how binding works. I just want to explain it so you guys can get out there after watching this video and just jump in there and use it, okay? So here we go. So, give me a second. Drinking a little water. Okay, so as you can see, here's our view right here. This is like our, I guess, our preview, right? Preview provider. We've kind of gone over how all this works. And of course, we have all this other stuff right here. This is our main binding example app, content view. So now what I want to do is, I don't like this name content view, right? So I want to change it to main view, excuse me. So if you want to change the name of a file, you want to do this. So you have this default file, which is being referenced here, right? And this is your root view controller, content view. We're going to do this. We're going to say stop. Okay, we're going to say this. Okay, this, refactor, rename. We'll call this main view. Right. And now we have this right here. And this, and probably because, so when you rename this, you got to remember that it automatically generates the title for this struct based on the name of your struct, based on the name of the struct for your view. So if I say main view, then this problem is fixed, hopefully. Yes, it is. It's fixed. That's how that works. And when you rename it here, also go here, and this is renamed here, main view. Okay. So now what I don't want this, right? Now I'm gonna move this pretty fast. So hopefully, if it's hard for you to keep up, you can pause, slow it down. And remember, I have other videos that go through this in depth. So here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and create this. I'm going to create at state. I'm going to create a variable at state var. Okay, var message, right? This is going to be a message that says there are no vacancies here. No vacancies. Right. Okay, no vacancies. Rooms are unavailable. Okay. So now that we have that, let's go here and let's create a we have our VStack, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna create text, right? And here and message. There we go. I don't like the look of this, right? So might want to change this a little bit. I'm going to say dot foreground color. I said foreground, not font. Foreground color. Color dot accent color. Okay. I like that color better. Let's go ahead and change the font a little bit, right? Because I want to make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, dot font dot system. That's dot system, right? System size, weight, size is 20, and weight is dot bold, and design is dot defaults. Okay, so I have that, and that's what I want to see, right? Then I'm going to have a spacer. Now I want the spacer to be all big, right? Spacer. Usually this is push all the way to the top. Not really interested in getting pushed to the top. So I'm just gonna have frame height height. And I want the height to be about 30. See how it comes back down. And now I'm going to create an image, right? Image, system name, and I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to pick an icon, home, right? So this is our, let's do this home kits, right? Copy name, and if you're unfamiliar with this, you can go to my SF symbols tutorial that I have and explains how this works. So there you go. See that right there? Now what I need to do is go ahead and dot resizable, right? So it's resizable, and I should say dot scale to fit, and let's make the frame dot frame, and my frame should be width and height, and I want them the same with 120, and kind of don't need to do heights since it's scale to fit, but I'm going to do it anyway. So there we go. We have that, and so now and I want the foreground color to be accent color, right? Dot foreground color dot accent color, and then we have this. Now we have that, and then I'm going to make another spacer, right? And I want the frame, right? Frame height. And I want my height to be 45. Okay, right. Okay. I'm gonna make it 30. All right. So I'm playing a lot of this by ear, and we'll just see how things look. Okay, so now I want to create a button, button, This is how you create a button, and you say label here, and that's it. That's how you create a button, right? So this is where your action goes, and this is where your UI, everything looks. Okay. Now, I also want to create another variable, right? So this variable is going to be changed by binding, and this other one is going to be changed by binding. Remember I told you we discussed reactive versus functional programming, right? So when we click a button, what we're going to do is we're going to set a value for something in state, right? As soon as that state changes, everything that depends on that property changes. Again, so we don't have a did set, right? Okay. All right. So pause. Okay, so yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make probably called show options. Oh geez, man, I hate when that does that. Show options, right? And basically this refers to when we go to our child view, our modal view, what's gonna happen is we're gonna pick whether we have vacancies or we don't have vacancies. Okay. So options is of type. Oh, and by the way, this needs to be of type string, right? Can't just it's inferred, but we need to say it explicitly. Equals false. Okay. So now we have right. Okay. So we have these set. Of course, if we don't set these, then this will complain down here for a default value, right? Anyway, so go back here to our button. We want to set our self, right? This is a class property self dot show options equals true, right? So because we set this to true, guess what happens? That means that we're going to use this later, and this is going to trigger our other view to show, right? And so let's go down here, right? Let's go ahead and set up our button. We're gonna have a button that presents it. So I'm going to say we have set up the UI for the button text, right? Text, view the options, right? So now we're viewing the options, and let's add some features to this. We're gonna say width is 300 and the height is 50. I'm just picking this off the top of my head. That's our frame. Background color dot background color background. Okay, and color dot accent color, right? So boom, we have that, right? And then we're going to say, of course, that blocks that out, right? So say fonts. Let's do this. Foreground color, color dot white, right? And so then we have that. Now let's change the fonts dot font. Okay. And of course, this is a type system, right? System, size 20, weight dot black dot design dot default. Okay, and so we have that. Then corner radius, Actually, I'm not gonna make this black. I'm gonna make this medium and medium. Right, yeah, not medium. Okay, dot black, regular. I'm gonna say semi bold. Because I don't like it bold, but oh my god, I don't like it that light either. Okay, and then dot corner radius. And the corner radius, I'm gonna make it 20 in this situation. Now we have our rounded thing, right? So now it looks all nice and professional and whatnot, whatever. Now what I need to do before I even go any further, let's go ahead and create another view, and we're gonna call this the settings view, right? So I'm going to go here, create new file, SwiftUI view. Let's settings view. Right, and then we'll do this settings view. And this is our settings view. And then she says, hello world. I'm going to move this up here. Okay. So now, because I have this, I'm going to go here, and there is another modifier called dot sheet, right? Dot sheet. Okay. Right, is presented should be show option. Okay, sorry about that. $, show option. Then we're going to return here. Boom. And this should be our settings view. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we'll go back here. Yeah. Settings view, right? So settings view should be, we should be able to present it, right? So let's go ahead and let's run this. We're running this in our simulator, which I should have been doing it, right? I've kind of just been running through the code real quick. And there we go. Everything's working. I click that button and it presents it. Boom. Now, what I want to do is when I present this, I want there to be some buttons and I want to be able to communicate with the parent. I want to change this text up here, right? So let's go. Let's go ahead and we're going to create our settings view. So we're going to go here, settings view. We have that there. And it just says hello world, but we are going to change that. And I'm going to introduce to you the power of binding, right? And what it's, so you can have a practical example of exactly what binding is, right? So what we're going to do is we have this right here. Let's create two properties and we'll get back to these. Let's create them right now, right? So one, we'll have one called show options, right? Because we want to set it to false. We want to talk to our parent view and say, remove me from the view, right? Okay. And then we also want to say to our parent, oh, there are vacancies or they're not vacancies. So let's create two of them, two at binding, right? At binding var show options, right? And this should be Boolean, right? And then at binding, and you notice something, I don't have to give a default value. not the way I do with state. And are rooms available message, right? I'm just gonna say message, right? Because I want this to be the same as the other one. Because isn't that what I have over here? So I have message over here. Yes, message show options. Okay, message show options. We're good, right? Okay, now I see right here, there's this, right? Right. So when you have this, you have these, your object is saying, because we don't have any values, our initializer, we have to put this in an initializer whenever we try to instantiate, which we're doing right here. So let's go ahead and right. So here we have it, but you can't just go ahead and put a reference to this, right? So you say dot constant, right? Now, once you have that, you can create a default value. So for show options, it's a Boolean, false, right? So you're setting default values, constant, string, right? And that says there are no rooms available, no vacancies. Okay. All right, that's what we have. Okay. And let's see what's going on right here. Of course, right? I have an error here. So you have to fix these, right? Okay. And so what this needs right here is again, you reference this with the $sign, right? So for show options, you say $, show option, right? Okay, message, $, message. There we are. Okay, because remember, you're creating a when you do a sheet, you create an instance of this. So you gotta have all dependencies, right? For your initializer. And this is taking a long time, but we can run this in the simulator and no errors, nothing's broken yet. Anyway, let's go back here, right? And now I don't want to have a I don't want to have just this on here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an extension because I do not want to write out all of the button functionality and have my view look cluttered, right? Like a bloated view controller or something, right? Extension, settings, view. And I'm going to create a reusable component and it will be called reusable button. That's what I'm going to say because I'm very creative with my names. Funk reusable button. Funk reusable button, right? And in this reusable button, I have multiple things, right? But I always return some view. I'm going to go in depth with the term some. Some is like a term when you're returning a view. Sometimes you don't want to always return how I'll put it a particular type of view, right? We know it's a view, but we don't know all the details. This all gets figured out at runtime, right? And that's where we use some kind of indicates that we'll figure out what kind of view. It is a view, but what kind of view will be determined at runtime, you know, and that's how you designate what you're going to return. Okay. Well, let's move on. Okay. Um, I'm going to say return, right? And by the way, let me go ahead and add some parameters here because what I don't want, the reason why I'm making this reusable is because we're going to have to add, have different length, different width, and different text for each button, right? And I don't want all of that shoved up in my um shoved up in my the body, right, of this view. So um text, right, text, we'll type string, right, with, okay, is of type integer, right, or not integer, CG float, CG float. That's what I'm gonna use, but you can use whatever you feel. You can use double or integer or whatever. This isn't that, it's not that crucial. Again, CG float, CG float. And then I want to say action, right? That's another. And you want this to be at escaping. I think I've already covered escaping for, right? And I'm gonna say boom boom and this, right? So what is this? This just kind of make sure that what the heck is going on with this? Give me a second. Not escaping. Let me see something. Let me just give me a second real quick. I need to make sure there are no errors coming when I do this. Stop. Okay. I want to make sure that yes, that's good. So now if I say this, right, is that working? Absolutely. Okay. I just make sure that my syntax for my escape and closure is actually done correctly, right? Now I'm going here, I'm gonna say some view, right? Now I have to return something, return, and what I'm returning is a button, right? Right, and then you always have this label here. Okay, now this my errors should stop. Okay, so now that I have this right here, I should have, well, I'm not gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do this right here, right? And this should say action. Um action, right? Action. So I'm passing this here, and then I should have trailing closure. Give me a second. Action, right. I don't need this trailing closure. Okay, text, right, is a property that I'm actually passing as a parameter, right? Text, right? We have that text, and then I can say dot frame, right? With, of course, is with height, of course, is height, right? And then dot background, right? Z color dot. And I want this, I already know what color I want, right? I don't want to pass that. Font, I know what font, but I want dot system, right? Size should be 20. Weight should be, I would say regular. And then design should be dot defaults, right? And then we'll say dot foreground color dot white dot corner radius is 20, right? So we have this I don't know what's going on with that right there. So okay, hello world. So we have this, right? And now I'm gonna get rid of this in here. We're gonna create a V stack. V stack. Right. This is a vertical stack, as many of you already know. Reusable button, right, is there are rooms available, right? So 300. And the height is 50 and action, right? And so we'll come back to that. But you see how we have this. And now did I put padding on this V stack? Yeah, I need to put some padding on here because I don't want them butt up against each other, right? Padding 10. Okay. And I'm gonna go here, right? C V, right? So and I can say there are no rooms available, right? There are no rooms available, right? So we have two of these, right? There are rooms available, there are no rooms. I'm just make this more stand out. No rooms are available. Okay. All right. So now we have, there are no rooms available. There are rooms available. No rooms are available. Cool. So right here we have our action, right? So we want to set show options to false because we want to close, right? We're talking to our parent saying dismiss it. Okay. So we're gonna say self dot because it's inside of a closure, right? Self dot show options equals false and self dot show options equals false. I probably should have just cut and paste, right? Self dot message equals there are rooms, right? I'm just gonna say there are vacancies, bro. See? Okay. Just show you there are, right, vacancies, right? I want to copy this. V, there are no vacant. I'm just gonna say no vacancies. Oh, okay, no vacancies. Okay, so now we have this right here. Okay, and so now, let's see, what am I missing? So we should be able to, right? We view our options, no vacancies, rooms are unavailable. And so, of course, rooms are available. There are rooms. There are vacancies, right? There are vacancies. Let's do that again. Show options. There are vacancies. No rooms. No vacancies. Okay. See, I've forgotten my English since starting this. No vacancies, right? There are vacancies. Okay, so and how this is working is what we are setting this every time, right? We're setting this binding property. We're setting it every time, right? And of course, we have to have what? A default value whenever we instantiate it. And this is constant and all this. Okay. And let's go back here. Yeah, and we're affecting these. One thing I want you guys to remember too is that these don't have to be the same name, right? Right. So again, how you're actually affecting these is where yeah, it's right here in the sheet, right? Then I make a call to it. This is where this ties with um this ties back to these two right here. You're passing these properties to here, but they're binding, right? That means you're not just passing a value to this settings view, but there's kind of like there's a back and forth, right? You know, you send a value and it can send a value back. And that's the reason why this is displayed with the functionality in the child view, right? Those again, let's go back and look at this again. And yeah, if you need to, you go back and just review this, watch it over and over again, walk through the steps. There are vacancies, there are rooms available, no rooms available, no vacancies. Yeah. So go back and rewatch it and hopefully it makes sense. But that's binding. That's binding in a nutshell. On to the next.